Thank you for being here, the incredible Juliet Ellis,
Lovely to be here.
or as we call you, Julie. Um, Julie has been hard at work upstairs, literally physically upstairs here, tackling the incredible show that will open this Friday called A Symphony of Flesh and Bones. I just want to acknowledge also Julie's incredible and handsome father, Lloyd. There you go. Who was the former Mr. Universe, and wait till you see the images that Julie has made with both Lloyd and your brother Anthony, who was a champion cage fighter.
Well, he was a cage fighter. I don't know
Cage
if he was a
fighter.
champion.
In my books, he's a champion, darling.
He's
He's a champion.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this with us, this conversation where, it's a moment in the festival for us to slow down and hang back a little, take a pause in the tech rehearsals, but to spend time and commune with our audiences who either have seen the show or coming to see the show or whatever, but it's a good time to just commune with each other. So I just want to say thank you for everybody for spending this afternoon with us. Julie,
Yes.
I want to ask about the first imagination of a symphony of flesh and bones, because I remember when the idea came to us, I was very quickly blown away. I was very quickly captivated by both the kind of almost domestic, intimate family, kind of context, but at the same time, this incredibly expansive universe that you were attempting to construct. I just wanted to ask, where was this sitting in your mind?
I think the natural evolution of it is when I think I mentioned before in the delegates artist talk that a friend of mine had passed away, and she was actually Naima. She was an older African-American woman, and I had the honor of being with her throughout the death process. And so after that, I applied for an artist residency in Helsinki for 3 months, and it was there where I started, because I filmed Naima, and I took photographs of the dying process that will just be mine privately. And it was also for our Buddhist center, because we asked her about the process of dying, what that was meaning for her. And we shared that in our kind of like Buddhist meditation class. And so when I went to Helsinki, and I was just thinking about what it is I wanted to engage in, it's kind of interesting because we're all obsessed, like I can see Nina now capturing an image, and we're just so obsessed with image capturing and image, photographs. And I've taken over like 60,000 are on my computer. And I just started scrolling through all the photographs and kind of hit upon photographs of me as a child. And I was like looking at that photograph, and when we look at photographs, we tend to go, oh, that's me. That's me. Like we've fixed ourselves in time, and that's me, but it's not you. And when we delve more into it, it was never you, that sense of you. And I was just interested about how that sense of you changes moment by moment by moment. And I wanted to kind of deconstruct the way that I was looking at these photographs. So I started this process of dissolution. And then that relationship came back to like when I was thinking about the body, like we think the body is me. Like if you go, oh, where's Julie? You'll go, oh, she's there. And you like refer to my body as if my body is me. And so I wanted to interrogate, like we do in a Buddhist interrogation meditation, like, who are you? Like, are you your body? Are you your mind? Are you, like, what's that sense of self? Because you've all got a sense of self watching me. And I've got a sense of you. But what is it? Like if I asked you to identify that sense of self, like where is it? Like does it live in the physical world? Like what is it? So, and so we're always referring to the self as like body. And the two people who I'm fortunate to be close with, my father and my brother, are two human beings that have constructed this body. And I was interested in the construction of it, but also why, and why they had to construct this body as a way of, in the beginning anyway, a survival mechanism, like an armor. And then when you're so identified with that body, what's it like when it starts aging, when it starts to deconstruct? It's like, oh, well, so what's that? And we're just living in this illusion that we think that we're our body, and it's not true. So that's what I wanted to kind of investigate.
You know, I mean, it's incredible how you've also, you know, pulled together your practice as a filmmaker, and then you're also a Buddhist practitioner. So that kind of two worlds or two knowledge systems that kind of collides in this work that's the Symphony of Flesh and Bones. And you know, for me, like, the first time when I encountered, I think the idea that you were talking about, of course, you know, within the frame of the film, within the frame of image production, as you say, Nina, our producer, is, you know, take it because she wants to document, and that's what we're doing now, right? Every single moment we go to an exhibition, whatever event, we just want to capture a photograph, a picture, because one, I kind of suspect it gives us a bit of comfort that if you've not taken a photograph, you were never there. Or perhaps it might help you remember that you were there. But I think what's interesting for me, and French philosopher Jean Baudrillard has written this before about, you know, the condition of hyper reality that we're all existing in, that the image then becomes the substitution for the authentic, the substitution for the body that you were talking about, you know, the construction of the idea of the identity, that in a way we have kind of absolved, you know, our existence, our existential kind of being into, you know, the sight of the image. And of course, you know, what's, you know, kind of compelling for me is that, you know, given the internet, given social media, we will have so many residuals of ourselves somewhere in the ether post the complete collapse of our body. That is somewhere out there. And now, I mean, people are really talking, and Gabby and I have been talking about how in the advancement of AI, you know, is to take all these residues to reconstruct or reconstitute the body in whatever particular fashion. And I think in the work that you're making with the Symphony of Flesh and Bones, it is really, for me, cutting through all of that, all the questions you're asking, all the kind of philosophy, artistic practice is all kind of landing in that kind of format. I want to next ask you also about your journey of working with Lloyd and Anthony, because we've had many conversations about it. And at the same time, I think what manifests in your capturing of them is also a kind of a condition of your relationship with Lloyd and Anthony. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the questions in the piece is, can the camera be an extension of our consciousness? So I think it's interesting. I think one of the things that I was very aware of is, like, you know, the deep love that obviously I have for my father and my brother, but I didn't want to be in the position of voyeur. I actually didn't want to be in the position of other, and just really tried through a meditation that we call the exchanging self with others, where you can exchange yourself with the person who you're taking the photograph of. And it's almost like you can think about photographing yourself. What I loved about photographing or filming my dad and Anthony is that there's just an authenticity there, because they're not actors and they're not performers, and they had no investment in, oh, where could this piece take me? Maybe I'll get an agent, or I don't know, whatever, or not even about the art of it. Because sometimes I think when we perform an action and then we think of the art of it, there's already a dualistic appearance happening, because we're thinking art and then we're like thinking image. And so I didn't feel that that was a thing that was going on in the room. And I think what my dad and Anthony reflect is just an honesty where they become a mirror for us, and that we can look at them and see something of ourselves in that. And I can't really explain it. You have to experience it. I think it's a very hard thing to articulate, because I don't think words express what that thing does when it travels from the camera to the object and back. I feel like there isn't a duality what happens. I just think like the two objects become, like we would say in meditation, like the conventional truth and ultimate truth. Like it becomes one object. And that's what I felt when I was capturing those images. It's like there's just an entity there that is connecting us through this machine that we call camera.
And of course, you know, in the work, we see that play back in these massive and many, many screens in...
Like that one, but 8 times.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it's the big-ass screens.
Yeah. I wanted my dad and Anthony to take up all the space in the room, or people like them, because they're often pushed to the side, and it's like, no chance. You're going to be fucking massive.
Thank you for that, Julie.
Okay, sorry.
No. It's great.
There's children, it's bad to swear.
Yeah, no, it's. I think this is so important. Precisely, I think, you know, and I mean, we've been talking all week long about taking back space, about, you know, being seen, being present, being acknowledged, you know, and I still remember, you know, when you first, you know, the line that we talked about a lot in the piece, you know, because your father's from Jamaica, and that journey from Jamaica to England, where he talked about his hand, you know, slowly becoming a fist, and then now he's forgotten of how to use it as a hand anymore, and that kind of process, is I think we people of color, we've gone through various contexts of that, and I just want to say thank you that you've taken space and you say we're here and we've always been here.
Yeah, like when you say that, I go, yeah, and then a part of my mind goes, no. It's a very odd thing, isn't it? It's like, you know, I'm agreeing on the one sense, and another part of me is going, nah, no. Because, like, I think it's an interesting question to ask, like, who wants to be seen? Do you know, because we keep saying that, be seen, but who wants to be seen? The limited version of myself, who's very insecure and neurotic and like, that wants to be seen. But a person who has the limitless potential of connecting to that limitless potential of the mind, a person who's in service, a person who wants to bring something of love and joy and compassion in the world, does that person need to be seen? So on the one hand, I go, okay, yeah, which self wants to be seen? And why? Like, why is it important to be seen? Like, what do we want? So, yes and no. And the only reason I say about taking up space is because, not for them to like be seen, is because to recognize that within our own, you know, I talk a lot about the failure of film is that it doesn't go beyond the frame. And when I said this to my fella, who's like a Buddhist teacher in New York, and he said to me, yes, but what about looking deeper within the frame? And I was like, yes. So the question or the invitation is, like, what do we need to do to look deeper within the frame? And so the reason why my father and brother are like massive is because they're there. Because it's amazing how you can be highly visible and yet not seen. And we can just look about, like, when we enter this building, like, I noticed, like, the black body a lot of the time is used for protecting others. Like, if you look round, the security guards or in the shops, and like, the body's always used for protection. But do we see them? Do you see them? No. So for me, the starting point has to be, if we have to change something within ourselves, we have to see it first. Like, we have to acknowledge, like, say, if we have anger in our own mind, we have to have the courage to look at it and then start to figure out how to dismantle it. But you have to see it first. So, yes, you see my father and brother, but what it's really reflecting is our own attitudes, perspectives towards these bodies. And we've all got them, whether we like them or not. We all have to start being really fucking honest about how we other people, whether that's black or poor or working class or whatever label is floating around at the moment. We other each other because fundamentally I say me and then you, and I've already created a difference. Me and then you. And I think actually I'm more important than you. So I'm going to protect myself more than you. And if I like you, then you can be my friend. And if I don't like you, you can become my enemy. And you know, we wonder how wars start. Well, we just have to look at our mind when we start an argument. And then times that by 1,000. You know, everything for me starts with the mind. The mind. The mind. What is your mind doing? When you start to see someone else as different, or what is your mind doing? What is the process of thoughts that is leading you to hate, or leading you to other, or leading you to be divisive? Like, it's coming from your mind. It's not coming from the other person. Anyway, that was a bit of a rant, but sorry.
No, I mean, this is such an important reminder, essentially, because I think in these times, it's too easy to absorb your own responsibilities, your own action, to kind of investigate in where you are. It's very easy to say the wrong is over there, because, like you say, it's a way to kind of protect yourself. But I think the work that you're making is precisely to kind of explode all of these, you know, kind of falsehoods that we've been nurtured and conditioned to accept wholeheartedly, because it is probably easier, you know. And I've said it many times before as well, you know, in times of this, our minds have become so lazy. It's so easy to not want to expend any energy to think about nuance.
Well, it's called an iPhone for a reason. I, me, I, me, I. It's like, you know, it's quite clever. Well, it wasn't called that really for that, but that's my interpretation.
Yeah. I want to now turn to, and it's related, I think, and obviously your practice as a Buddhist, you know, the kind of reflection, you know, of the process of mind has been quite central in creating this piece of work. And there's a collaborator, Sesk.
Yes, there. Lovely Sesk.
There we go, Sesk.
My movement director and everything else.
And who's also a fellow Buddhist. I want to ask about this kind of creative relationship with Sesk, because, you know, for me, as two artists engaged in a collaboration, you know, this layer that you're also practicing Buddhist is, for me, quite a powerful one. More in the vein that your conversations are always quite deep, all the time, and it's so enriching and like, the energy that you both bring to the room has been quite special. I just want you to kind of talk about it a wee bit.
I think I repeated this little story, but my fella, he said to me, because there's a lot of grasping when you work. There's a lot of expectation. It's like one can't help oneself to think you put yourself in front of the work in some ways because of that grasping and expectation. And so my fella said, like, anyone can make a piece of work. All of us here can make work. You know what I mean? It's not, we're not special just because I'm sat on this stage, but we all can make work. But the thing is, how do you make it? And, we usually talk about the legacy of the work. Like, I'm dead, the legacy of this piece may live on, whatever. But actually, I think, like, what is the legacy of every encounter that you have, every conversation? Like, what's the legacy of the connection, the interactions, the speech? Like, are you watching the actions of your body, speech, and mind? When you leave someone, are they empowered or disempowered? Because I know I've been, I was a trained actor before and whatever, and the legacy of abuse that is left behind, yet someone's held as a genius. And it's like we've just got it the wrong way kind of round. And for me, the legacy of the actions of my body, speech, and mind are like really, really important. And hopefully they are reflected in the work, and the way that the other artists engaged in this work feel really, really empowered. And I would say that, we talk about the independent film, but in reality, nothing is independent. I did not make this piece on my own. We are always interdependent. Even now, this talk would be nothing without an audience. Like, you know what I mean? It's like we forget. It's like there's always, like, there wouldn't be a me without an other. There wouldn't be an artist without an audience. Like, everything breaks down. It all breaks down. So I think it's a really good check-in point. Like, when you feel your ego or whatever anyone wants to call it, the frequency starts interfering with the work. You have to check. Because for me, I feel like the work was already made. I just had to listen and then just tune into it and kind of like put all the pieces like together. But I'm not doing that on my own. And like, if we want, we can think about, we have this meditation when we talk about the kindness of others. And so let's say in this building, if there was no cleaners, this building wouldn't be able to function without the people like cleaning it. And so that's a kindness, and then you can say, yeah, but they get paid. Or the people behind the bar, thank you for these amazing flat whites. Like the people behind, but they getting paid. No, what it means when it says kindness is, how do we benefit from other people's actions? That's kindness, whether they're getting paid or not. And so I'm very aware that there's a lot of connecting dots for you. This is just the end product. When you come in and you see the work, that's just the end of a process that has involved thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It's just that I'm at the end of it and I get all the applause. But really, no.
Thank you for the incredible reminder. I mean, it's real, right? I mean, in these times where the loudest voices talk about division, loudest voices talk about the me, the loudest voices talk about separation. And in many ways, it's really, really such a privilege where artists like yourselves, and just before this we had Faf Swag talk about not just the value, but the criticality about community and about the assembly, about how we are stronger together. We are more, we've always been here together, and in a way, this insistence and the belief in each other is precisely, what we have to keep insisting on right now.
Yeah, I agree. But sometimes I think the loudest voice can be spoken in silence. And I do think that the act of meditation is very powerful, because at the end of the day, one has to learn to control your own mind. So my spiritual guide said the real enemy is the one within, your anger and your hate and your divisiveness and that. And you can have a very loud voice when you are training in meditation. You can have a fucking really loud voice when you're engaged in prayer, because actually it's about your mind. So yes, you can shout and you can do all the things that need shouting about. But actually, for me, I feel like the loudest voices is when I can go in and start to change the fabric of these negative mental grooves that are like, because, so it's like your mind is by nature peaceful, and you'll be able to do a meditation, right? You will know that when you stop chit-chatting and you just tell your mind to shut the fuck up, you will arrive at a very peaceful place. So where does that peace come from? It comes from within your own mind, because you've shut up. The only thing with us is it's not familiar. So it feels natural to be all blah, 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 but that's not natural to your mind. Your mind is naturally peaceful. It's just not familiar. This is familiar, but it's not natural. So I think we just have to change the situation around. And that's what I would encourage to do, as well as doing all the other thing, is to take a moment to go inward and just observe the negative mental grooves of your own mind and ask yourself, how can I change them?
And this is what you do, no? At the top of this work, that as audiences come in, this is also partly a public service announcement, that you have to check in your bags, your phones, all of that.
It would be nice. You can
shit.
leave them behind. You won't. Nothing will happen to you if you put your phone down for an hour.
Yeah. So and in a way, that is, I think, the first step to kind of recognize that, we have to let go of, I think, what seems familiar actually, and lean into what is seemingly the unknowable and the unknown. But actually, it's things that it's always in you, like you say. I want to now ask, really, for me, your kind of process of editing. Yeah, because obviously this piece of work is not a film as we understand it. Yeah, it's not a kind of structured, sequences of things. And this is already inherent in the title, it's a symphony of flesh and bones. And Juliet Ellis, being right in the middle, functions almost like a conductor. Someone who's able to kind of shift and wield the images. So I want to ask also, because for me, I've always, very keen to see an artist take film and, like you say, explode it beyond the frame. But for me, at the same time, what you've done, you've also exploded the editing process, given that it is not kind of start to end, that you can do a sequence. But can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, with this project, I almost learned how to edit. I only edited one thing for broadcast before, and an art film. So really, what I love actually, when you don't know the structures of like editing, like I didn't. Every time I would start an edit, I would always meditate first, and just see if I could just get rid of myself and any expectation of what was about to begin in the edit. And then really, for me, it's a bit like Sesk, like observing Sesk and how he talks about movement and how movement is internal. Like I took that process into the editing, and like the process of editing is internal. It's like you just have to be a really good listener. Like we just have to learn to shut up. Like, and I mean that in a very wonderful sense. It's like just to, just so there's no separation between my computer or whatever and me, and that like this is kind of all you're almost trying to take away. So, but it would always be from like what the movement demanded, like an expression of my dad, or my brother. What did that demand of me? You know what I mean? And just making sure that I was staying authentic to the rhythms or the expressions or what that piece needed to say. And that was it. And I made loads of mistakes. Like, most of my work is created through happy accidents. Seriously. Like upstairs, like we'll do something and I was like, what the hell's that? That's not what I put. Oh my God, I like it. Let's have that 2-second delay because that's this. And the thing is, if you're open, and if you're like just open, those accidents, you can see them and you can use them. And I love that because then you just start breaking with expectations. And I love happy accidents. I just love them. So for me, yes, there's a skill in editing, but I think most of all, like, what is it that's happening here that's being expressed on a screen? And if you feel it, your audience is going to feel it, because if you're a human being, you're connected to all the other human beings. So hopefully they will connect with something that you're connecting with in that moment.
And you know, in many ways, obviously, you know, the scenography of the space that's constructed through the screens, the lights, the images, and of course, you speaking. I want to now turn to your function, because you've been kind of, you know, directing, you know, all of it in that place. But these couple of days is when you're also shifting into that central kind of being, you know, that's you know, holding space for all the audiences that will come in. I mean, we're all set on 4 sides, and like you say, I like almost like this, almost I think, yeah, you know, I can see you, you know, it's all of that,
yeah.
you know. So I want to ask really that kind of role of that being, you know, where this conductor thing that you're doing, what is it for you, you know, which is almost for me that final thing, not quite the credits, but like for me the theme song as the credit rolls, right? that is what that being is about. So, but for you,
Yeah, you know, I tried to create a cinematic mandala, like this place where you're invited in, and it's like a mandala in Buddhism is like offering a pure world, like what you envision, what you want that to be. Like everyone like liberated from their own suffering, if you like, and so it's based on a Buddhist mandala, and I dreamt it actually after we'd gone to see a space, and then I went to sleep that night, and I woke up and I was like, okay, it's 8 sides and it's this. It was like very clear to me, and then the power source of a mandala is the center. And, but actually, I'm not in the center because I don't believe that I'm the power source yet. I'm still practicing. So, in Buddhism, sound is represents like emptiness. So, sorry, hold on. So, if I clap, thank you. So I would ask you, like, where is the sound? Like, where is it? Is it coming from inside or outside of your mind? When did the sound happen? Like, where is it? Like, does it exist in the physical world, that sound? So anyway, so it reveals like emptiness, which is a profound topic that I can't really go into now. But I thought, so I have a record player which has sound in as a reminder of the power source is that everything's an illusion. And yes, you can create this environment, and then you've seen the monks do the sand mandalas. So they spend all this time creating sand mandala, and then at the end, when it's finished, like, and it's gone, just to show that there's no attachment to the process, there's no attachment to the finished world, you know. And I heard you speaking earlier on, and, you know, you can relate that to capitalism, what you were saying about take. But for us, you've got to just learn, like, there's just no attachment that's keeping you in this very ordinary illusion of this world. So in the center is the record player, signifying for me emptiness. If you try to find the self, you can't find it. If you try to find your body within the parts, you can't find it. Like, try to find yourself. You won't be able to find yourself. I'm sorry for those of you who are on a journey of finding yourself, but you ain't going to find it. Sorry. And then, you know, everything we say is created by mind. Everything's created by mind. So this is the illustration of a reminder that where is the sound? We think things are, we think that reality is just happening and we're reacting to it. Reacting. But actually everyone here is a different version of this speech, don't you? You're not all going to go away with the same speech. Karmically, we're all together. Yeah. But like, there is no speech. Like, where's the speech? Anyway, so that's the world that you're going to be entering.
I mean, this is also, I think for me, such, you know, powerful way to really think about the question of our own responsibility, our own actions, being accountable not just to ourselves, but to each other. Because in the end, you know, like you say, all the conflict and all of that is because we have never looked at where we are right now. You know, with that swag, we've talked about how are we meeting with each other. You know, we bring all our gods, all our ancestors, all our stories, all of that to come to meet. You know, and if we don't even have that, who are we? We're probably nothing. And I think, you know, in many ways, you know, for me, a symphony of flesh and bones is that, you know, kind of portal, the kind of conduit by which we rediscover actually where we are right now, you know, and actually where do we want to go. You know, it's I mean, for me, I have seen the monks in Dharamsala doing this and then doing this. And for me, I couldn't help but cry because in a way, it was at once, I was a sort of very difficult moment of my life at that time. But I think what was important was that in the end, there are things far bigger than you. There are things far beyond you. And we've been talking about the divine in the last week, almost every single day. And the divine exists in so many different structures and formats, you know. And I think, you know, through your practice and through Seth's practice of Buddhism, you know, it's also a reference to divine that, you know, it exists in all shapes and forms. I think the last question I want to ask you before I want to open up to the floor
it's
quickly.
on its phone.
No, I'm not my phone. I'm just checking time.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought you'd reserved the question on your phone. I thought, oh God, this is going to be a hard one. I have no notes on my phone. I just want to check time to make sure you get up to tech on time. Yes, thank you.
My last question is coming back to you, Julie. And we kind of talked about it earlier in this space. What is it for you after Symphony of Flesh and Bones?
I kind of don't really think like that, to be honest. I don't think like that. The only moment I've got is now. And I can't take for granted that I might even be here tomorrow. Or it's just not how I think. I just want to be in this moment. You know, we do a meditation on death and when you come into the space, but like, which is, I may die today. I may die today. And everybody thinks that's really morbid. They're like, oh, really? Do you have to do that? But the point is, you may die today. There are no guarantees. And I actually think it's a lifesaver when you think about death. Because when you want to open your mouth and say something horrible, or you want to hold on a grudge for the next 20 years because you've perceived someone's done something bad to you, like, what are you doing with your mind? I've seen so many people at the end of their lives, and the things that Naima, let's go full circle to my friend who kind of started all this when she died in the hospital. And one of the things she said to me was, I spent too much time thinking about Naima. That blew my mind, because like, we're so grasping onto our opinions and our way of thinking and our way of this. But like, if you were going to die today, just if, like, how would your life change right now? What would be the different choices that you would make in your life? Would you stop and think about what you were about to say if what you were about to say was negative? Like, so for me, it's like I don't have a career. I just have a journey, and the stop is now, and I'm here. And whatever is going to come after the Symphony and Flesh and Bones will manifest. But I'm not chasing anything. If I never work again after this piece, it's all good, because there's plenty of other things to do, like meditate and love and, you know, be of service to a food bank or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just an expression of where I am at the moment that I want to share, hopefully, with all of you who've been really kind to sit here and listen. That's it. So that's my answer to that question.
Just want to say thank you for sharing this moment with us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope to see you. We hope to see you at Symphony of Flesh and Bones.
Yeah,
right. Thank you for spending this afternoon with us.